And remember, if I can cook it, so can you. Arroz de Pato. This is a Portuguese dish known as, in English, as rice with duck. Make sure you have some duck. Some people have an entire duck and they cut it. I found a couple duck breasts. It's about a little bit over a pound. So I have both here. Get some bacon. I tie this bacon together because it's too thin. And this is the thickest one. So I tried to get about maybe a 1/4 inch thick. I couldn't, so I tied them together. And get some Portuguese sausage. Make sure you find them. This one you can find in the supermarket. Get a couple Portuguese sausages. That's what I'm saying. Rice is important. In Portugal, they use Carolino rice. If you cannot find it, this is a great substitute. Arborio rice, that would do. I have a couple cups. Whether you have an entire duck or half a duck or whatever, a couple cups is sufficient. Make sure you have an onion, a carrot, couple bay leaf, about 4 garlic teeth, salt, and I have some extra virgin olive oil. I'm going Portuguese, but you can use any. Make sure you have a cup of red wine too. I did find an additional onion because I'm going to need it. But the first one, I just going to cut it in 4 sides. I'm not even going to bother peeling it because I'm going to prepare some sort of stock for this onion. This carrot, chunks, and you can even have even more. Garlic, break it down. Let me take this peel out. And do the same with the other ones. You can put everything together here, by the way. So I have a pot. And the first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to put the duck breast with the fat facing down. No oil, no nothing, just the breast. And I'm going to cook that side for about 2 minutes, okay? Couple minutes later, I'm going to flip it, but before I do that, let me put some salt on this. Put some little salt in the meat. Going to flip it. A couple minutes later, let me remove this baby. Let me see how much oil I have. I don't like mixing oil, but frankly, I'm going to put a little bit more. Just a little bit more. Because what I'm going to do, I'm going to add the onions. And I'm going to add the carrots, the garlic. Break the flavors out. About 3 or 4 minutes later, I'm going to get a cup of red wine to add it. Mix everything up together. I'm going to add the duck. The bacon. And the sausages. Find some space here. I had the heat a couple notches above medium. What I'm going to do, I'm going to add 4 cups of water here, which might be sufficient, but let me put 5, just to be safe. Couple notches above medium, and you're going to let this go for about 40 minutes, okay? Before you do that, let's add a couple bay leaves too. That's simple. So it's been 40 minutes. Going to turn this off. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to move the meat, put it aside, and I'm going to let it cool. I want the meat to cool down. And then, see, there's a reason I tied the bacon. If it was loose, you don't have all that stuff like floating around. So put this stuff aside. And then what you're going to do, you're going to strain the broth. You know, you don't want the vegetables, you don't want pieces of meat on it. You want to strain it, okay? So now it's time to prep the meat. Let me start with the dog. If you can pull it into pieces like this, go with your hands. Pretty simple. You're shredding the baby, okay? You don't want this fat. You can remove it. And you just continue shredding, okay? And you do the same with the other breast, duck breast. So here's the duck. Now let's go with the sausages. So one of the sausages you're going to use for decoration purposes, the other one to cook together. So what are you going to do? You're going to break this one out because you're going to cut it into pieces too. You don't need the casing for that. So you start cutting it. And you do this with one of the sausages, okay? And put it aside. Now you come with the other sausage. You're going to cut it in slices, okay? And now comes the bacon. Just pieces. So let's go with the rice stuff. So first I'm going to put a few drops, just a tiny bit of extra virgin olive oil. And I'm going to add the onions. Mix things up. And do this for about 45 seconds, maybe a minute. Now I'm going to add the broth, the duck broth. And that 5 cups render me about 2 1/3 of a cup. I should have gone with 6 just to make sure, but I went with 5 because, you know, the experience and stuff. So what I'm going to do, have this medium high, mix things up well. I said I had 2 cups of rice, but I want to make sure that I have enough broth for it. Let me mix things up here a little bit. Yep, perfect. Perfect. You don't want this swimming or anything like that, this kind of rice. See, I have about quarter an inch, maybe half an inch. So it went perfect. Nothing thrown away, nothing lost. So I'm going to let it boil for a few seconds. And now that it's boiling, what I'm going to do, I'm going to reduce the heat to medium. I'm going to cover it. And I'm going to let it cook until the broth evaporates. And I will show you how. I set about 10-11 minutes later. Evaporate it. Mixing up the meat. I'm going to mix everything together. Mix everything well together, okay? Sausages. (425 degrees Fahrenheit), which is like 220 degrees Celsius. Put it in the oven. Let it go for about 5, maybe 7 minutes, okay? 5 minutes later. Voila.